You know, there was something truly special about Halloween back in the day. Before the fog machines, the giant inflatables, and the aisles of mass-produced costumes, Halloween used to be handmade. I'm Mike, a retired history teacher, and tonight, let's take a walk through time, through the Halloweens that shaped our childhood. From the simple warmth of the 1950s to the spooky creativity of the 1970s and the wild neon glow of the 1980s. So grab a cup of cider, settle in, and let's go trick-or-treating through history. Halloween in the 1950s? Oh, that was something different. No Amazon, no pop-up spirit stores, no flashing lights, just families, neighbors, and a whole lot of imagination. The spooky season didn't begin in the mall. It began in the classroom. Teachers hung orange and black streamers across chalkboards, and kids spent all week cutting out black cats, witches, and paper pumpkins. At the end of the week, there was always a parade, a proud march of homemade costumes. Sheets turned into ghosts, cardboard crowns for princesses, and tiny cowboys with toy six-shooters that barely worked. At home, families carved pumpkins together. The kitchen smelled like roasted seeds, cinnamon, and candle wax. The sound of laughter filled the house as dads tried to carve scary faces that ended up looking more like grumpy snowmen. And when those jack-o'-lanterns lit up on the porch, it felt like magic. Back then, decorations were simple: crepe paper, cardboard cutouts, and a few candles placed carefully by the window. No fog machines, no animatronic zombies, just shadows, flickering light, and imagination doing the rest. And the candy? Homemade. Popcorn balls, caramel apples, and sugar cookies shaped like bats. Every house had something different, and every treat tasted like someone cared. We'd run from porch to porch, pillowcases in hand, barely able to see through our costume masks, and not a single parent followed us. It was freedom, pure and simple. Then came the 1960s, the decade when Halloween started to change. Television had exploded, pop culture was everywhere, and the first wave of store-bought costumes began to take over. A company called Ben Cooper Inc. became a household name. They sold these bright little boxes with a cellophane window, and inside was every kid's dream: a vinyl smock printed with your favorite hero, and a thin plastic mask that barely let you breathe. Those masks were hot, itchy, and by the end of the night, half of us wore them on top of our heads just to survive. But for one night, you could be Batman or Cinderella or even the Lone Ranger. It didn't matter that you were sweating buckets. You were somebody else, and that feeling was priceless. Pop culture didn't just change our costumes, it changed the soundtrack of Halloween, too. In 1962, a man named Bobby Boris Pickett released a song called Monster Mash. And let me tell you, that tune was everywhere, from living room record players to school gym dances. It was a graveyard smash. Every Halloween party had that song, and every kid tried to dance like a zombie long before Michael Jackson made it cool. By the late 60s, something new appeared: the haunted house attraction. Churches, schools, even local fire departments began setting them up. You'd walk through a maze of hanging sheets, fake cobwebs, and flashlights hidden in pumpkins, and somehow it felt terrifying. Then came 1969, and Disneyland opened its Haunted Mansion. The bar was raised forever. Halloween wasn't just about treats anymore. It was about experience. The 1960s were a turning point, half tradition, half modern show. But it was still innocent, still communal. Halloween was growing up, just like the kids who wore those plastic masks. The 1970s brought a chill to the air, and not just because of the weather. Halloween took a darker turn. Movies like The Exorcist, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, And John Carpenter's Halloween changed everything. Gone were the goofy monsters and smiling ghosts. In their place came real terror. Suddenly, Halloween wasn't just cute anymore. It was scary. We'd dare each other to sneak into the local cemetery or watch a horror movie alone with the lights off. And even though we pretended to be brave, we all jumped when the wind rattled a window. But the biggest scare of all, it didn't come from the movies. It came from the news. The razor blade in the apple stories. The urban legends that changed Halloween forever. Parents got scared. Homemade treats vanished. Suddenly, every candy bar was inspected like evidence from a crime scene. And for the first time, Halloween didn't feel entirely safe anymore. But we still loved it, because we were the first generation to mix fear and fun. We had Star Wars costumes, Darth Vader masks, disco witches, and glow sticks. And even with all the fear, there was still magic, the kind you only feel when you're 10 years old, running down the street with a pillowcase full of candy and a heart that believes in ghosts. I can still hear the crunch of the leaves, the laughter echoing through the night, the wind against my cheap plastic mask. Halloween had changed, but somehow it was still ours. By the time the 1980s arrived, Halloween had become huge. It was a decade of big hair, big music, and bigger candy bags. Costumes exploded with color and character. We had Ghostbusters, E.T., Michael Jackson, and Madonna all walking the same streets. And those old Ben Cooper masks, they got replaced by full rubber monster heads and shiny jumpsuits. For the first time, Halloween looked like Hollywood. And who could forget the McDonald's pumpkin pails? Every kid wanted one. Those little orange buckets became the official candy container of the 1980s. You'd see hundreds of them bouncing down the sidewalks on Halloween night, glowing faintly under the streetlights. Halloween parties were bigger, too. Parents got involved, decorating houses top to bottom. The neighborhood transformed into a movie set, fog machines, strobe lights, fake tombstones, and a stereo blasting Thriller. Even the tricks got bolder. Mischief night, toilet paper in trees, shaving cream on car handles. A little harmless chaos that made the grown-ups groan and laugh at the same time. Halloween in the 1980s was loud, bright, and unforgettable. But deep down, the heart of it hadn't changed. It was still about kids running through the dark, sharing laughter, stories, and candy that somehow tasted better back then. Maybe it was the sugar. Maybe it was the freedom. Or maybe it was just the magic of being young. Looking back now, I think Halloween has always been more than a holiday. It's a time capsule, a reflection of who we were and who we hoped to be. In the 1950s, it was innocence. In the 60s, creativity. In the 70s, fear and fascination. And in the 80s, pure spectacle. Every decade added a new mask, but the soul of Halloween stayed the same. A night to pretend, to play, and to believe in something just beyond the shadows. I still remember the glow of the porch lights, the crunch of leaves, and the sound of laughter floating through the night. We didn't have smartphones or GPS, but somehow we always found our way home. Maybe that's the real magic of Halloween. It doesn't just haunt you. It stays with you. So tell me, my friend, what do you remember most? Was it the popcorn balls your mom made? The first scary movie you weren't supposed to watch? Or maybe that night when the moon hung low and the air smelled like pumpkins. Share your story down below, because as long as we keep remembering, Halloween will never truly fade away.